You probably heard me say, I like everybody talking. It's a wonderful place to be on Wednesday night, isn't it? It's like a rest area. It's like a spiritual rest area. I love it. I need a volunteer to say an opening prayer. Okay, volunteer, brother.
Our great and almighty Father in heaven, so thankful for this time that we have together here. Pray, Father, this time for us with the word, please, sight. We pray, Father, that as we go through this lesson tonight, search out the scriptures, take those things that learn, line on our lives, and Father, we know what's right. We ask that go with us now, always. Pray, Father, above all.
Amen. I'm looking to see if Caleb's here. He isn't here, is he? Well, Caleb, somebody can tell Caleb that we're going to finish up his lesson from last week. I know you probably didn't bring the book, but it's an important thing. The last part of his lesson, and maybe, if I might say something, sometimes I feel like we're rushed, pushed to go through these lessons. And it seems like there's so much meat at times that we could linger like a water hole. In this reading for tonight, there are so many sermons in there. Brother Chris, how many sermons did you spot when you went through the reading tonight? At least 10, right? 11 counting this one from last week. Well, Caleb didn't get to finish the last paragraph, which was about revenge and forgiveness. The eye for an eye, the tooth for a tooth expresses the penalty should match the offense. And then Jesus was teaching the opposite. These are things we keep emphasizing. These Jewish people were raised a certain way. It's deeply ingrained. It's almost like being raised American. Apple pie, they're baseball. There are things that are truly American, and there's a lot of things that are truly Jewish. And here comes this man who is also God and changing everything. Jesus was teaching that our personal lives should be guided by love, restraint, forgiveness. It really wasn't anything new because Jesus was able to point to scriptures that had mentioned the attitude that represents and glorifies the God of the Jews and now the God of us. There was an interesting sentence. His followers should be of the mind to allow, and this is a hard one. It's allow themselves to be oppressed rather than to be the oppressors. Even in my driving sometimes, somebody pulls in front of me, and right away I go, I don't say anything. In the old days I would have said something, but I'm thinking, what's wrong with that guy? Well, preacher or something, lessons, we've been talking about us being more patient with people. And tonight, we'll if we get this far, it's talking about mercy. And we've been talking about that for a few weeks, come think of it, a few months. We need mercy from God. He wants sacrifice. Wait a minute, I got that wrong. Well, moving back on. Somebody look up Psalms 109. Read verses 3 and 4, please. Psalms 109. Read 3 and 4, and somebody else read 8 and 9. On your mark, get set, read.
They surrounded me with words of hatred, all against me without cause. For my love they are my foes, but I am in prayer.
I what in prayer?
I am in prayer.
8 and 9, someone. Now, what we just read is something, it reflects a very serious get even and get ahead attitude that the Jews had. That was, I believe that was King David, wishing these bad things on his oppressors, so to speak. But here, Jesus has come and he's speaking of a love that does not find its origin on earth. That was in that last paragraph too. That really caught my eye. A love that one does not find its origin on earth. We know God is the source of love. God is the source of good, and etc. God even loves the unloving. Let's see. Let me make a personal comment. I feel like we've been probably all been Christians long enough to know a lot of these verses that we're going to be studying and have studied over the past weeks and in the weeks to come. So why are we studying them? Maybe we need an objective. An objective like, when we read these verses, how can we use them in our conversation, talking to people about in an effort to spread the gospel? You know, like I was thinking, for instance, a conversation starter might be you're talking to a stranger. You say, for any reason, they might say something, the way they talk, the way they stand, the way they dress, or something about their demeanor. You might say, I got a feeling you're religious. Where do you go to church? And boom, either you're barking up the wrong tree or you got a conversation that you can start talking, find out, you know, if they're a Baptist, you might know what to start talking about. If they're a Baptist, no offense to the ex-Baptists in here, but I used to make fun of them. I'll say, John the Baptist died a long time ago. Baptists are out. And besides that, you don't believe in baptism, but there are some Baptist churches that do believe in it. So let me get, the point that I really was trying to make was that what we study and learn in here, we need to learn how we can use it in our everyday conversation, how we can use it to help people understand, to help draw them in. Let our light shine through our voice, our actions, and try to encourage people to get more serious. Realize that, as the Lord's Prayer says, forgive me as I forgive others. You know, it's a two-way street. So going into this lesson tonight, yes, sir.
You don't take your dog and it car for reading. Not burst into things that your animal needs to do. That's a gross thing. For us to stay fresh, keep the word fresh in our mind. So when we do talk to people, talk with calmness, talk with plainness, confidence. Game changer, conversation. Had several this year with the lady I work with. We've got to ask questions. Very encouraging. You know, we don't agree on everything. When I can talk to her about things from the Bible, I can quote the scripture. I can do it with calmness. I would say she's a fairly hot-headed lady. That's okay. When we finish, because of the way we approach the situation, it's okay. She'll say, I'll agree to disagree. But she says, I also appreciate you stopping and giving me your time and effort. When I study this stuff regularly, I look at it online all the time. You know, we have to
Yeah.
be ready to give the answer. And that's why we study this. Like I teach math and fourth graders every day. You know, so they get those math facts down. So they're going to get those things every year in grade, high school. So it's just ingrained. It's ingrained. You do things with confidence.
So I'm not sure if he's correcting me or not, but I don't think he is. But still, to underline what he's saying, we need this information deeply ingrained. We may know it. We may recognize a lot of these verses, you know, like judge not lest you be judged. There's a lot of verses in this reading and in the lessons to come that will bring up a lot of memories. And at my age, I may not be able to spout out where it is, but I've been around long enough that I take my phone out and I get on the internet. I've said this before. I'll type in KJV for King James Version because that's what I was raised with. Not that I depend on it. I go with other versions. But I can find the scripture I'm looking for. And if the person is willing to watch, I'm showing them how they could find information out for themselves. And that's our objective here. We've got to know what to do, what to say, how to act. We've got to influence these people, teach them that anybody can do this, can find the truth. Like if I understood his sermon Sunday night, like Andy did, and other people in the church that I have came across who questioned what was going on. I can just imagine that Jesus really upset he upset the temple, and then he upset the fruit basket, so to speak. And these people wonder, wow, this stuff makes sense. Okay, so let me see where I'm at. I had a thought about this, these Beatitudes and this continuing Sermon on the Mount, the greatest sermon, the longest sermon from Jesus. It seems like if you was applying for a job, they'll have a list of qualifications that either you have or you don't. Well, seeing as how everybody can get this job, and it is a job because Ephesians 4:1, I think, I got it written down someplace else in the notes, in King James Version calls it a vocation, your occupation, your job. But in the other translations, where it uses a different choice of words, it just says your calling, I think. But the important thing is, that's how serious Christianity is and should be. You know, it's hard not to preach because I've preached sermons on the Sermon on the Mount, and it just keeps coming into mind some of these tangents, so forgive me if I talk too much. Do what Keith did. Just go ahead and interrupt. I have no problems with that. I don't know if he's getting even with me or what, but I welcome the change of ideas, the exchange of ideas. It's very important. He had an experience. Surely you have an experience that you could share with us, and we'd be all the wiser for it. Okay, so if we're trying to qualify for the job of Christian, and Jesus has given these prerequisites, and of course they don't know what it's going to be for Christians yet, but he's taken the best concepts of Jewish thinking and encouraging that, because the next step is going to be the birth of the church. Okay, let's see. I may be thinking out loud. Where is my... I hope it's not an oh no moment. Oh! Whew. It was almost an oh no moment. And my notation says to go to the note paper. Go to note paper. Now we're going to start reading in this Matthew 6, verses 1. We're not going to read, but I'm just going to give you my assessment. In verse 1, it basically is telling you you're going to have to decide which reward you want. You want that outer reward? You want that inner reward? It's a very important concept. You don't do things for show. Verse 2 had an interesting thought. Question was, where did the synagogues come from? Because I can't find any scriptural basis for initiating synagogues. I mean, some people might bring this up as, hey, here, the Bible, it didn't say anything about you have to have synagogues. It's something people made up. They might even cross over and say, hey, see, so we could add instrumental music. I haven't heard that argument yet, but somebody can. But we have specific scriptures that tell us how to sing praise to God and how we speak one to another, as opposed to having a church building. But my research showed that during the Babylonians took over and moved all the Jews around, destroyed the temple, they had to do something because they were losing touch. As we've studied in the past months, they've lost touch with the source of their worship, all the things worthy of praise. So Somebody came up with the idea, perhaps, of meeting in houses, and maybe somebody else came up with the idea of, well, we'll just have a building, and if you got 10 families, you could sanction to have a synagogue in that city, and then that gives 2 people jobs. But we won't worry about those details any more than that's something that has come up. The initial church met in homes, but now we're meeting in buildings. But we can also meet in homes. I have met in homes, worship services. That was verse 2. Verse 3, I simply say, what does it mean? Somebody read verse 3. Remind me what verse 3 says.
So when you do a charitable, not take the left hand over the right hand.
So what do you think my question is? How can your left hand not know what your right hand's doing? Would somebody care to explain that?
I think verse 4 is the explanation, right?
Read verse 4.
It says, so that your alms may be done in secret. Father, you see the secret reward. So don't broadcast things that you're doing. You don't have to tell everybody if you do something good, for, in this case, like the giving of alms and things that you don't have to broadcast it out. God knows it. But you're doing good deeds. God knows it.
Right.
Deal with things.
Remember my ABCs? A for, what was A for? I can't remember. But C was for context, and B was for big, big, big picture. By reading on verses before and after, however far you have to go to get the context of what the subject really is, and that's what Brother Chris did. It's a wonderful aid when you're out talking to non-Church of Christ people, so to speak. What does A stand for? I can't remember. Yes, sir.
You brought up a minute ago, you asked, why do we study? And you look at who is it that Jesus is talking to? Talking to more common people, not common people like leadership of the time. Look at what he says there in verse 2. Do not sound a trumpet before you hypocrites. So, why do we study this? Did those Jews not study? They studied. They studied for understanding. And they had lost the understanding of what it meant here to do good. Why were they doing it? They were doing it.
Right, they were sidetracked by their own selfishness. I mean, look what they did to the institution of marriage. And
you're going to see that as you go down through here. Every time he usually compares to those people that are thought at the time the religious.
yeah,
And he's talking to those that are thought not religious.
he's talking to the common people, including half-breeds, so to speak.
How to be the right type of person.
Right. Just because somebody's college trained, would you hire them where you work? Depends on what college they went to, I guess. But college trained, it may not meet the requirements. And based on what you said, he's talking to the common people and not to the uppities. It reminded me what it said in chapter 7, verse 6, saying, give not that which is holy unto the dogs, neither cast your pearls before the swine, lest haply they trample them under their feet and turn and rend you. And that's exactly what the Pharisees and scribes and Herodians were trying to do to Jesus. So he's going to the one place where there's an open mind, an open heart, people who need to be told God is the priority. Let it show where you spend your time and money and other things. Any more comments? So, so what does it mean? Not let the left hand know what the right hand is doing. I thought about this saying that I'm so absent-minded, I give myself the best surprise birthday parties. The left hand doesn't know what the right hand's doing, in case you lost track of what I was trying to get across. Don't overthink your charity was another thought I had about it. I mean, when you give to the church, you can't be saying, oh, wait a minute, it's wintertime. I'm going to have to get a new coat for the kids. I'm going to have to spend more for the fuel oil for the Yankees or for the firewood for us Tennesseans. You don't want to overthink your charity. Don't let the left hand know what the right hand's doing.
For the work of the church, which overseen by the elders and they good money. And I've heard you heard of situation of people wanting to give, but only earmarking that money for certain things.
Nope. And either you trust your elders or not. I have been to many congregations looking for trusting elders. Do you know what most congregations have? No elders. Anyway, another thing I was thinking about was why are we giving? What is it we're really enacting by giving? Well, I don't know how to word it. I'll just go ahead and say the answer. We're showing God's love to those in need. It's like that verse in James talks about true religion is taking care of the widow or visiting the widows and orphans in their times of need. When the window is open, it's not pearl before swine. Their hearts are open. They appreciate a good gift. I'm going through some stress, and I'm appreciating some good gifts that I have received. And this ain't the only time it's ever happened, and it ain't the only side of the good gifts that I've been on. Sometimes I've been able to, thank God, help people. It's just a different ball game when people help you. But everything's going to work out all right. I know that. I'm hearing hints of this and that. Plus, I got my truck running. I got here tonight. But Brother Smith would have tolerated me again, I think. He got me here Sunday.
I want to put my last copy. With verse 3, I think it's noteworthy to say, maybe it's the English translation. Verse 3, it says, when you do charity. It doesn't say, if you do charity. But if you do charity. It's expectation. That should be something.
Right, give them the benefit of the doubt. We're Christians. I give every one of you the benefit of the doubt. If I saw you walking out of a bar, I know there has to be a reason for it. Maybe you used to work there. Maybe you got a friend that's working there that you're trying to help them out in their time of need. I mean, I'm not going to jump to conclusions. I might jump to conclusions if I seen you at the swimming hole, but that'd just be me. I was raised in Florida, so maybe not. Moving on to verse 4. It just couldn't be put any stronger that we need to be God-centered. God is who we're here to please. Actually, if you don't like that, the way that choice of words, God is the one that's going to be glorified. So whenever you do some good deed, would you ask yourself if you would do it if no one was watching? Okay, now I go to the book. You know, Caleb had a good idea setting up down there, spread things out. On page 5 in the new book, So almsgiving, I read that, and 1A notes, so that must be the question in 1A. By giving, it's a sacrifice, it's selfless, and it's because of a love like God. God loved us so much that he did more than we could ever do, even for people that don't believe in him or don't like him. But it's the love that comes from God. Our God shows us what love really is, and that's why we must imitate him. He's the real thing. We only try to please him by emulating him. Back to page 5. Let's see. Well, we'll move on to prayer. In the book, prayer. I think of prayer as a tool. And what Jesus is presenting to us is a bunch of tools. Fasting, praying, almsgiving. These are all things that help. It's like if you're breaking in a horse, you've got to train it that you are the master. You've got to bring yourself under control. Fasting is very important. I'm surprised that Christianity doesn't require it, but it doesn't require it. But there's all kinds of examples when we get to it, if we get to it tonight, of how fasting really is good for you. I've done it a few times, so if anybody does want to fast, I'll be glad to talk about my experiences. Okay, prayer, it says that we will, he points out, we will examine the same prayer, talk about the Lord's Prayer, when studying Luke 11, 1 through 13. So it's a preview of coming event, coming chapter. But now we will continue to focus upon the problem of pride. And in the next paragraph, second line, it talks about what I guess is like the answer. But anyways, we open our hearts in utter simplicity and humility before God. And then later on talks about the inner room, calling it the closet of our heart. Closet of our hearts. At this point, I would like to say that sometimes, a lot of time, I am distracted by a lot of things. It's like being a multitasker. I'm hearing things outside. Susan will ask me, why'd you do that? I'll stop the TV, or I'll put it on mute. And she wants to know what I'm doing. Well, I'm listening. I'm hearing something outside. Whether I recognize somebody's car going by, or it doesn't sound like there should be anything in there. The chickens are acting up, or but I do. But I'm so distracted. You see, I just got distracted there from teaching what's important. Forgive me. When I pray, sometimes I have to use earplugs. I got to block out all that noise from outside and inside, across the street, up in the air, whatever the source is. My wife doesn't like to put her hearing aids in, so she's got to turn the TV up. So I put in earplugs to block out all them sounds. And sometimes I get hung up in my prayers. Anybody here get hung up in their prayers? Well, Tim had a serious procedure, and we've had him in the past, and I don't really know what to pray for. I feel like I'm about to cry right now, just thinking, what if God thinks it's better for Tim to pass? Hope not. He's a lovable guy, like all of us can be. Well, here's what you do. You might have seen it on band. Somebody put down Romans 8. Somebody look up Romans 8, unless you got it memorized. Romans 8, verses 26 and 27. I know everybody knows Romans 8, 28, but this is 26 and 27. Somebody read that. Somebody different read that, please.
Spirit helps us in our weakness, for we do not know what to pray for
Did everybody hear that? Anybody not hear that? Good, because if you didn't hear that, I was going to have you read it next. If you don't know what to pray, if you get hung up in your prayer, just put that feeling out there to God. He knows your heart, and the Holy Spirit can take that message into consideration, and mission accomplished.
What the book says, open our hearts and utter simplicity before God.
Right.
Like a child.
Yeah.
Talking to our Father.
Yeah. It's not like praying in public. You want to make sure you use the right word. So, you get concerned about that sometimes.
Well, there's along those same lines. Verse 7, when you pray, do not use vain repetitions. They think that they will be heard for their good words. I mean, when we pray, yeah, there's times when you don't know the right words, always using the same words, always using the same prayer. Here in verses 9 through 13, you have no idea how to heard that prayer. Because that is a prayer that lots of football teams hear right before the game.
When I was in sixth grade, we did that. We would do the Pledge of Allegiance, we would sing the national anthem, and we would do the Lord's Prayer
I would not
every
pray
morning.
this prayer.
You would not?
I would not. Because you're praying for something that's already here.
I know. When I pointed that out in one of the sermons on these scriptures, somebody said that they never thought about it, but it was a prayer they always prayed.
Christ himself said in this manner that
Yeah.
in this way. Give them a pattern. Not giving them prayer. In today's society, we get hung up in this same thing. We use the same words over and over and over. We should think about what we're praying. I understand about getting hung up. In times when I pause. There is nothing wrong with pausing in prayer. If you're doing a public prayer, guys. There's nothing wrong with taking a pause. It feels uncomfortable to you. Yeah, it probably does. Think about this. Everybody that is sitting there hearing, will be a little uncomfortable. Makes them pay more attention. Think about the way that we're praying. He does the same thing in these verses. And when he's teaching about this, at the beginning just before. Because who is it that he says not to be like? Those hypocrites that want to be heard.
Heard by other hypocrites. I understand. I mean, at first you might think they think they'll be heard by God, but be alert. And congratulations to you. If I was a teacher, Keith, give him an A. I remember what A stands for. A stands for alert. Well, what I wasn't a while ago. A for alert, B for big, big, big picture, and C for context. B and C are kind of close, but there's a little bit of a difference there.
Just,
Yes, sir.
something else to think about is just, notice he says vain repetitions or empty phrases,
Right.
some other translations say, not being from the heart. That doesn't mean that you can never repeat yourself.
Right.
Okay? Jesus was a great example of that because if you remember when he was in Gethsemane praying, he asked his apostles to stay awake with him. He went away and prayed. He's praying by himself. He says something, he comes back, they're asleep. He goes back a second time, prays the same thing, goes back a third time, prays the same thing again. In fact, it says in Matthew's account that it was the same words, saying the same words. So, repetition in itself is not wrong, but the vain repetition is when Chris said, we don't even think about what we're saying. It was just we just go with it. You think Jesus wasn't thinking about what he was thinking? He was, right? I mean, he's about to die. Okay, and he feels the pressure of the sins of the whole world on him. And what does he do? He's saying the same thing to God. If it's possible, let this cup pass from me. Okay? you're not gonna be able to eloquently say everything in a different way every
But you
time you
can
pray.
speak from the heart,
But you
and
can
that
speak
means
from the
it's
heart.
not
That's
empty
right.
unless your heart's empty. And that's what I was thinking about when he was saying, when the other Chris, the first Chris was speaking about that. That's what I was thinking. You can say the same thing over again if it's not empty. And when it comes to pausing, give me a minute. When it comes to pausing, I'll pause during my prayers a lot because in my mind, I'm saying something, I'm pausing, I'm giving you time to either rephrase it or maybe expand on it. Then I'll say the next phrase, and hopefully you had enough time to fill in. It's like a fill in the blanks if I'm pausing. But this is something for you to think about. Because we're praying together, and I feel uncomfortable with a corporate prayer because there's things that I can leave out. Like if it's the beginning of a worship service, I'll just pray for the worship service. If it's a close, we need to pray for about when we leave. And a class, we need to pray for the people we can take this message to. And then, of course, you can add whatever you want to your personal prayers. And, of course, I'm talking to the men and women because women, surely you women pray in ladies' Bible class? Good girls. Give them an A. And that other Chris, too. That's a bunch of A's. The women have more A's than the men now, men. Okay, Andy.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say that. I think sometimes with prayer, I think one of our issues, maybe it's just me, I'm more concerned with what people hear me say than what God's hearing. So it's like you want your prayer to sound a certain way so other people don't judge you, I guess, next time. I almost feel jealous, when I hear kids pray. James, he pray for some of the funniest things. And I try to leave it alone so I don't embarrass him. But one day he prayed for the couch.
Ooh.
And, I just thought it was kind of funny. And later on in the day, he was talking about how much he loved that one spot. He wasn't feeling well, and that's his place. And his prayer for the couch, how much he loved that couch, made sense when I realized he wasn't feeling well, and that was kind of his thing. One day he prayed for the lady in the lunchroom, and I found out later on that she gave him some extras. So that's what he was thinking.
I think Keith is the same way. Yes, I've heard it before, given extra helpings.
Although he prayed for the lady in the lunchroom.
Yeah, but my point is when I hear that, it sounds funny to me, right?
Yes, but perfectly understandable.
I'm judging his prayer, but that's what's on his heart. He's praying, and I think that's what we realize. We're not praying for everyone else to hear us. That's not what we're doing. We're praying for someone else to appreciate our prayer.
I don't remember who it was. I want to say it was Don. Yeah.
That's all right. Call it strike one. Go on.
It may have been because why it struck me so hard when he said it. He said, he said from the pulpit, he says, I can tell when men pray, the practice is think about that. Practice anything very much. You get good at it. One thing I always thought to say, some more younger men like Jace, you might even write down a prayer, but the more you practice it, the more it comes from the heart. You don't have to think about it so much as, that struck me when he said that. And it may have been because I was leading the closing prayer. I can't remember exactly how why, but that has stuck with me ever since. Talking to God, that in this instance, not to do it to be noticed of men, but people say, oh, you said a grace prayer, or, you lead a really good prayer, or I like your prayers because it's only 2.5 minutes. Well, before Bible class, I might just pray for the Bible class. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, it's be from the heart. And when you practice it comes from the heart, it's easier.
Well, we see how important prayer is. We've talked a lot about it, and there's probably a lot more we can say. And thank you, Brother Andy, for bringing up a lot of good memories. Every night we pray. All the kids, I hear their prayer, then I do my long prayer, and then we'll go. Then I let them go. Then I leave them alone.
Yeah, I want to just comment on something that Chris Travis said about it's okay when you pray to take pause. It's okay when you are leading a prayer to get emotional. Just like we have song leaders that get emotional. It's okay.
Once. He just did it once, right?
I'm not pointing him out.
Yeah, it's happened to me.
I'm just saying.
Preaching, praying, singing, I cry
It's
sometimes.
okay, just like it's okay to take a pause. It's okay to get emotional in front of people. And our young people need to see that. Just like, grown men cry. It happens. They need to see that.
But practice, practice, practice. That's important. And praying is something you can practice, unless you get distracted. TV shows on or whatever. Okay, so what we got? 3 minutes? Can we do this Sunday, or do we have to move on to the next lesson? I mean, with a different teacher, of course. Huh? 1 minute? Okay, let's see. Let me see what. Okay, we're talking about fasting. I told you about fasting. Material possessions. The word mammon. It just means anything that keeps your attention. We should be God-focused, period, 100%. It's God or nothing. That's the way Christians should live. And the way you can gauge it is, where do you spend most of your money? Where do you spend most of your time, most of your thoughts? You can figure it out yourself. Every first day of the week, we get a chance to figure that out, whether we're still God-centered. That's material. A true follower cannot divide his loyalties. Is God enough? Oh, yeah, that's where I got that from. It was written in the lesson book. Next one, I planned on Keith talking to us about anxiety. But Keith doesn't say too much tonight. So we're going to skip that. If you got any problems with anxiety, go to Keith. He'll probably figure that out. When it comes to judging, I think we heard this last week. Everything seemed to be happening last week. It may have been sometime this month. Anyways, if you're going to judge, what kind of judgment do you do? Tell me. Righteous judgment. What does that mean? Have a reason for your judgment. You're not on the America's Funny Videos or America's Next Idol. You're not on The Voice. You're not making those kind of judgments because you could not compete at the level they probably are competing. And so we got to be careful. If you're pointing your finger at somebody, you know the old saying, you got more of them pointing that back at you. Okay, what else have we got? Judging. We talked about judging. That's 7th chapter. Just bear in mind that God is not Santa Claus. He will give you what's good for you. Make sure you know what's good for you. It's good for you to go to heaven. When I prayed for a wife, I was in my mid-20s. And I said, God, help me find a woman that'll help me get to heaven. So God answers prayers. Not in heaven yet. Hope that together we work that way. I hope it can work the other way too, that I can help her get to heaven. Her heart and mind and education is in the right place. Okay.
One of the questions that was asked, though, does God answer every prayer? God answers every prayer.
Yep.
You've got to understand and know the answers.
Right. Yeah, 3 answers he gives. What are they?
Yes, no, and wait.
Correct. Sounds like something a pessimist would say. No, yes, no, wait. No, you want to do it now? Or not? Okay, let's see. And the other thing is, should we offer petitions and requests when God already knows what we desire and need? If we do that, what is it doing? What are we doing by asking God for something that he knows what we need?
Show our reliance.
Right. Dependency. push the button in a minute. No, I'm just
You're not the bell.
Well, I got another page. Oh, double vision. Talking about the IB single. It's like we see double vision. You can't focus on one thing. It's like multitasking. And we've got to stay focused. I can't emphasize that enough. Thank you for listening. Okay, let's get out there and spread the gospel.
Whose birthday is it?
Three, two, one. It didn't work. That was actually the song we're going to sing in just a minute. You have a songbook in front of you. We're going to use songbooks tonight. So, 3, 2, 1. Right? Jesus, I come. Yeah, I hate to. Caleb's not here tonight as well. He would get tickled by this. A few weeks ago, y'all know that Jace has been talking about building a small camper for a long time. And I kind of got after him one day and I said, listen, if you're going to do this, you need to start looking. This is not just going to fall in your lap. So he got to digging, and we got to looking at trailers and what they cost. A lot of stuff. I mean, we went through all kinds of stuff. I said, you ever thought about looking on the Facebook swap meet? No. So he goes on there. He finds one that this guy has started, and it was pretty well built. Cool, you know. This fella had passed away, and his wife had it, and she was selling it to make extra room. So we called her up and made her an offer, and she took it. We went to go get it, and had a few little things to it to get it to fit behind the truck, get it home. Well, we're going home. Adam McKenzie, Adam McKenzie. And I hear this awful noise. It's terrible. Jace, pull over on the side of the road. Something's wrong. He goes, pull over. And if you know Jace, he's going into panic mode immediately. Ugh, right? Well, the wheel from the trailer goes passing us into the other lane, oncoming traffic. I'm sitting over there trying to go, okay, this is going to be good. I'm not screaming or hollering at him, or, he gets off the side of the road and what are we going to do now? We're going to go get your tire, and we're going to figure out why it fell off. And somebody had not tightened the lug nuts on either of the tires. Okay? And we're sitting there, what are we going to do, Dad? I said, well, we're going to hope that a trooper doesn't pull up, or a police officer, because it was dark. It took us longer to get there than we meant to. And you don't pull a trailer at night with no lights, because it's against the law. Our luck. Lights. Guy pulls in behind us. All right. Turned out to be a real nice guy. Took Jace to AutoZone or wherever it was. Bought lug nuts. Came back. Gave us a wrench to put them on with. We got home. Everything was fine. It was the next night. Right? The next night. We're sitting in the house. That was on a Monday. On the Tuesday, we're sitting in the house. It's all quiet. About everybody's gone to bed. And we hear the noise like somebody has busted the garage door out. I was like, oh no, what was that noise? So here I go, getting the gun. I'm going to go find out what's going on. I go out and push the button, open the garage door up, and it won't open. And Jace is up now. He's like, oh, what's going on? What's going on? He's all Jace. What's going on? The spring broke on the garage door. So how are we going to get out of the house? We're going to have to lift it. If y'all want to see something funny, if we could have set up a camera and watched the three of us lifting the garage door, it was hilarious, right? But, that same night, the same night we were getting it fixed, he's driving home. He gets to Medina and calls me. He says, Dad, my truck won't run in first gear. Same night the guy was at the house fixing the garage door. He's like, yeah? Well, going in reverse? I don't know. I hadn't tried that yet. So Christy goes, picks him up. We're going to see about him. And it's not looking good. I said, will it go in second gear? He says, yes. So he drives the truck home in second gear. Well, the guy that fixed our garage door also is a shop teacher over at Gibson County High School. He pulled the dipstick. I said, does it smell like burnt toast? And Jace goes, no, it smells like burnt oil. All right. Are you with me, son? And then after that, for a few days, this young man who's not here tonight, and he would be laughing if I told him, was in a mess. He was in, Jace, stress levels up to here. He's, what are we going to do? We're trying to figure out how to get it fixed. And if you ever want to buy a Ford Ranger, come talk to us first, and we'll tell you what years not to buy, because obviously the one we bought is the worst one to fix transmissions on. But what do you do as a father for a son, trying to get him prepared for life? Because here, within just a few days, we've had a wheel go passing us in the dark, and I think I must have ran 200 or 300 yards, which for me is a long way to run. I'm just telling you, I don't run. I'll ride a bicycle all day long. I don't run. And I had to run the tire back, in the dark. Woken up abruptly by a big boom. Has anybody else had a spring from a garage door break on them? Oh, yeah. It's some noise. And then that feeling, that sunken feeling in your gut when you know your transmission's going out. I don't know how. I hope most of y'all don't know what that feeling feels like. But it happens. Things happen, right? And so we had to sit down and talk to him. And we have to pretty regularly, as I hope some of you parents do, as my dad did myself, as I tell Jay, says, Dad, you told me this stuff too. What do we tell him? We have to tell him this, but we also have to live it. But in Matthew, and it was in our lesson tonight, being anxious, in Matthew chapter 6, verse 25, it says, therefore I tell you, do not be anxious about your life, what you will eat or what you will drink, nor about your body what you will put on it. Is it not life more than food, and the body more than clothing? And it goes on to mention about the birds of the air and all the beautiful things and how God takes care of them. Little fella scared to death. His dad was a little on edgy too. Can't say that I wasn't. But sharing that experience with him, saying, hey dude, it's going to be okay. It's going to be all right. We're going to make it work. It's going to be fine. Right? What other beautiful thing can we offer our children? And what other beautiful thing can God give us to know that He's going to take care of us? Okay? He's going to take care of us. Jason's like, well, how am I going to get to school? We have 2 cars. Your mom works at home. So you just get stuck at home. No. We've worked out a way where he gets to school, mom gets a car, and I get to school and somehow get to ride my bike home. It's a great life, right? It all works out great. And it really, when you think about it in the grand scheme of things, it really does all work out great. Because in the few days that I have been riding my bike home from school, it has been like, I don't know, just a moment. Just, you get to see the earth. You get to see the trees. You get to see what God's made. You get to experience a few moments of silence, seeing all of the things around you. I get to know my son's safe driving a vehicle that he can go to school in. He doesn't have to worry about it. Why? Because God has given us the gift of being able to work. He's given us a mind to teach each other, to help each other, to work together. He's helping us. If you're not part of that, if you've lost grasp of that concept, it's there. Go back and read the Bible. It's there. He's given it to take anxiety away. Right now, I'm a little anxious standing in front of y'all, right? But I'm also comforted knowing that some of y'all, well, actually, most of y'all, almost all of you, are paying attention. How do I know that? Because I teach for a living, right? I know. Knowing that you're paying attention, that you're listening. And if I was to say something out of place, I've got people that love me, that would help me, that would correct me, to fix things. That's the beauty in it. And if you're missing that, as Granddaddy would say, you're missing it all. That's hard to say. So if you would, if you've got something that's holding you back, you can let Christians here help you, as we stand and sing.
Out of my bondage, sorrow and night, Jesus I come, Jesus I come, into thy freedom, gladness and light, Jesus I come to thee, out of my sickness into thy help, out of my want and into thy well, out of my sin and into thyself, Jesus I come to thee, out of the fear and dread of the tomb, Jesus I come, Jesus I come, into the joy
just a few announcements before we're dismissed. Those on the sick list, I won't run through the whole list, but Brother Ricky posted on the band app, I'm sure a lot of you saw it, that his father, Don Clifton, has been put on hospice, and he's in a rapidly declining state, I believe is how he put it. So let's please keep them in our prayers. I know it's a hard thing. Micah and Molly are still both sick, but Molly's not got the pink eye, but she got a ear infection. But Micah's still got pink eye. And on a great note, not a good note, a great note, Brother Tim got a good report today, y'all. So, just as was put on the band app, prayers are answered. And as we studied tonight, they're always answered. This time they're answered the way that we wanted them to be. So, it's a great thing. We're glad to make that announcement. And I'd say drop Brother Tim a line. We have several that are traveling. Lisa and Tana are in Gatlinburg. Miller's in Florida. Matthew Bobo is in Louisiana, probably for another week and a half anyway. Jake Peltz headed to Minnesota. He'll be gone, I think, through Sunday is what he'd told me. And then Bradley's was traveling to Virginia. I made an announcement of this Sunday, but I want to do it again in case no one caught it. The Seed Strings are now part of our group. If you don't know them, they have been visiting with us for a pretty good while now. Please take the time to get to know them, introduce yourself to them. That's Alan, Melanie, Annabelle, and Lincoln. And then this was also posted on the band app, but I want to make sure we make the announcement. Lance isn't here, but he had a great idea, y'all. Brother Bob wasn't able to make our meeting, and we'd like to put a care package together for his wife and him. And Sister Michelle's going to help head that up so you can get with her on what would be appropriate to put in there or not, but gift cards, and we would like to ask the families to put a card of encouragement in there from each family to them. So we'll get all that together and get that to him. That's all I've got in the way of announcements. Yes.
Tony Black's got surgery tomorrow.
Does he? I must have missed that. Tony Black's got a surgery tomorrow. Keep him in your prayers. I missed that. Sorry about that. If there's anything else, please let me know so I can make sure I make the announcement. If you're willing and able, you may stand. We'll ask Brother Ashley Brewer if he will lead us in the closing prayer.
Let's pray. Father in heaven, we thank you for the day that we've had and another opportunity to come out together here this evening to study from your word. Lord, thank you for everything that you provided for us. Just thank you for the blessings that we have for your son, his sacrifice, which we have the forgiveness of sins, Oklahoma, here in heaven. Lord, we pray that you be with all those that are not out with us tonight, traveling, that you watch over them, give them a safe journey back home to us. Thank you for those that are sick and suffering and pain, that you help them to gain the course of their health and you, Lord. Lord, we pray that you be with Brother Tony tomorrow, good speaker, that he has a good outcome. That you also be with the Clifton family this time, watch over them, give them the peace and comfort that only you can. Dear Lord, we